My name is Keanu and welcome to the Lundquist Podcast. I am here with Ashley Bricker,
Hey.
and we're just going to be talking about, our first part of 2025 and some of the transactions we've gone through. So you want to kick us off?
Well, I feel like I had a pretty strong start to 2025. I had a closing on January 3rd. So that was a pretty good kick start to the whole year. We had to drive to Fort Wayne for our closing. The title company was over there, so that was a little bit of a drive, but it was worth it all in all. I've had a couple more closings in the past couple weeks and have some things in the works. So far 2025 is not doing too bad. How's it going for you, Keanu?
So actually, my 2025 has been really good. I started out by selling my house and buying a new house. So that's my very first two transactions of the year. They both went super smoothly. We got over asking for my house, which was exciting and awesome, especially because I'm the owner.
Yeah.
So it's best case scenario. And so Bob was the listing agent for the house I bought over on LaSalle. It was awesome work with Bob. He's a huge mentor and leader at the office in Lundquist, and I look up to him a lot. And so I've had three other transactions that I've been working on. Two of them's already closed. 317 Union Street, that was up in Warsaw, and super pumped for my buyer. He got a great price on the house. We closed on that probably last week, and then yesterday we closed on 6411 South Old State Road 15. And now that was a long transaction. And the thing with the old 15 was it was kind of a complicated one. So when this transaction started, it's kind of a testament to the Lundquist team, actually, because me and Olivia were in the NICU with Henry. And so I couldn't write the agency contract. I couldn't go show them houses, but yet they were ready and wanting to buy. And so you and John both helped show houses for me.
Yeah.
I think it was John who ended up writing the purchase agreement, right?
Yeah, that was John.
Okay, and so it gets under contract, and Henry's born, things settle down, I come back to work, and I start reviewing everything, and it's a property split. They have to put in a new well. There's repairs that have to be done. My buyer actually used a lender out of Fort Wayne, which kind of complicated things as well. And it created this transaction that was pretty complex, but was very doable with our office and all the parties involved. Everybody worked together, and we got to closing. And my buyers got an awesome price on that house too. And so super pumped up for the first four transactions of the year. And I got another one that I'm not going to go too much in depth on, but we are closing tomorrow, and I'm super excited. So that'll put me at 5 for the year as of tomorrow. Not to jinx anything, knock on wood here. So just overall, just super pumped up. It's a great start to 2025. I also have a listing coming soon over on 27 Chrysler Avenue. If you're interested in buying.
Very good neighborhood.
3-bedroom, 2-bath home, just over 1,000 square feet. So I personally know the sellers, and they're good friends of mine, and we're excited to get it sold for them. So, yeah, it's a good neighborhood. It's my neighborhood. I like South Point.
Yeah.
But so what was your experience with showing houses to Alex and Bailey when I was gone? I guess what was your kind of experience with helping another agent when they're out of the office?
I really like that I have the opportunity to help out our other agents. Like I've done showings for you, Tisha, Chris. I think almost everybody in the office. I just any chance I get, and every buyer that I've worked with so far has been pretty good to work with and kind, and I really did enjoy helping you with that one, and showing them houses was a lot of fun. They were really easygoing and easy to talk to, and I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah. Did you see the video I posted on Facebook yesterday of the confetti cannons?
yes.
That was the first, which was kind of fun. I haven't done them before, but
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So the Fountain Christian Church actually does it for their baptism. This is where I got the idea from.
Really?
And yeah, we love going to church out there, and but I saw it. I was like, I gotta try this. It's super fun every time they do it. I love well, for one, I enjoy watching somebody get baptized, but it's just a fun way how to end it with a big confetti cannon, and so yeah, it was a fun end to the closing, and
yeah, I might have to steal that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that looks fun.
For sure. So as you move into 2025, what are some of like the working principles? Like when you talk to a buyer, what do you sell yourself on? How do you say this is why you should choose me as your realtor in Wabash?
Whenever I'm talking to a new buyer or seller, whoever it might be, I just try to be more assuring to them that I have the knowledge to help you out, and if there's anything that I'm not too sure on, I have a whole team back at Lundquist who, we've got such a good team, because I've gone to John, Bob, Tisha, you, if there's something that I'm like, I'm not too sure, there's a different scenario that I've never seen before, I know that I can go to any of you guys, and you're going to be helpful and all that stuff. It's just a very good team environment, and I think that's one of the biggest selling points that Lundquist as a whole has, is that you're not just getting one of us, you're really getting all of us.
Yeah, and I think we're just shy of about 10 realtors, and with everybody included. Some sell more real estate than others, but I really lean on Bob and John, and the big selling point for me is, hey, Bob's got 42 years of experience, because that's a big deal, right? You're choosing somebody, like this may be the only time this person buys a house in their entire life, and it is the largest transaction they'll probably ever make, and they want somebody with experience and competence. And as a newer realtor, I've been selling real estate for 2.5 years. I've had my license since 2018. That's a huge selling point, and I always make sure I bring that up when I'm talking to clients. And one of the other things I try and focus on is in Wabash, right? We got a population of about 10,000, maybe another 30 to 40,000 people out in the county. So when you go to Walmart, it's like a whole networking activity.
Yeah.
You can't go to Walmart without meeting or seeing somebody. And so with that being said, right? Like we live in a small town, and your reputation is everything. And if you build a negative reputation, it would be an uphill battle to try and recover from it, if you can recover from it. And so a couple of the items that I focus on when I'm talking to clients is integrity and work ethic. I'm willing to go the extra mile, and I'm honest. I'm not going to lie to you. And so that's hard, right? That's hard.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I know firsthand of realtors that have gone in and told people that their house is worth X when it's not, just so they can get the listing contract. And in the long run, that's going to burn you, because people are smart. They can see through the lies, and integrity it has to be the foundation for a successful career. Integrity, work ethic is what I try and sell myself on, and then also the team. If you work with us, you get a team, because if I can't make a showing happen, I will make a showing happen. It's one of the things I sell on too. Is if good deals don't last. If it's a good deal, it's going to sell. Period. That's all there is to it. That's real estate. There's somebody out there. Believe it or not, there's I know for a fact. It's cash offers are so much more prevalent than what people would ever realize. There are people sitting in Wabash County with cash waiting to buy real estate, and good deals do not last. And when it comes to choosing a realtor, you have to have one that's responsive. Before I was a realtor, I had my license, but I wasn't practicing. I was looking for a house. I was working with a realtor. She's still a realtor in Wabash. She's super nice. However, it was days before I could go look at a house. And what was happening, I think it was right around 2021. So houses were flying off the market. and we just couldn't get into them in time. And so I use that as a selling point that if I can't show you a house, somebody in my office can,
Yeah.
and we will make it a priority, because that's the way you have to do it as a realtor. You have to be there. And I got something in my eye here. All right, there we go. It has to be a priority, because if not, your buyers are getting second pick. And it's just, if they're okay with that, that's fine. And sometimes it is like that because people have kids and they have family and have jobs, and sometimes you can't go look at it until Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. Sometimes they can't make it during the week, but if at all possible, it's got to be a priority if you want to try and get a good deal. And I think everybody is cost mindful. They're price mindful. They don't want to overpay. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to putting in offers, you got to be Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
It hit yesterday, let's go today. Or it hit today, let's go today. Or it hit today, let's go tomorrow. Typically, I always try and get people into the house within 48 hours of it hitting the market. And I also always tell people, like, I'm human. I got a 4-month-old at home. I got a wife, and I work a full-time job as a sheriff deputy, and I am human. I will miss stuff. And so I will try and check the market every day, and I need you to also check the market every day.
Yeah.
You are hiring me, but we are a team, and this is a partnership, and we gotta work together.
Yeah,
but
definitely. I love it. One thing that I think is different now, like from when Bob started out, obviously we've got apps, the internet. You can find homes listed almost anywhere now. And one thing that I really like is when I start, and most of the buyers that I've worked with have actually done this, where I'll start working with them and they've already got a whole list of homes that they've found on their own that they want to go see. And so then that, I love it when they do that, because then even if those homes aren't the ones that they end up choosing from, that gives me an idea of kind of what they're looking for. And especially after, we go and see the house, kind of their reaction, things they comment on about the house gives me an even better idea of what I need to be looking for that will best suit them. So I think those tools that are out there now for people to go and, find houses anywhere, everywhere, and and you send those to your realtor, I think that's a pretty good tool for buyers to have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And following up on those apps like Zillow and Realtor.com, and what's a couple more of them? They're everywhere.
Homes.
I mean, there's probably 10, 15 apps out there that I think Zillow and Realtor.com are probably the most popular. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, while we're here, I talked about the last two transactions I've closed this year. The loan officers were outside of Wabash County. And I really think it's super important for your loan officer to be in Wabash County or in the surrounding county. You should know them, and they should know you, because this is their reputation. Kind of like how Ashley and I are focusing on, this is our reputation. This is Wabash. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Same thing with loan officers. And from my little 2.5 years of experience, which is consistent with John and Bob's opinion, a local loan officer typically serves their clients as a whole. An exception doesn't negate the rule. Better than a out-of-county loan officer. And it's because it's a reputation. They know them. I can think of all of the loan officers at the major banks in Wabash County right now. I know them all by first name, and I have all their phone numbers because they show up to every single closing. The last two transactions I had, both were out of county loan officers. One was out of Ohio. Neither one of them showed up. Yes. Yeah. Neither one of them showed up. We had funds late to closing, and it was okay because we work the A team, and we always get stuff done. Yeah. We always find a solution, and we always represent our buyers correctly, and make sure they get to closing at all costs possible. But yeah, it's just another important thing is make sure your loan officer's local. And same thing.
And especially them knowing the area too is really important I think for the loan officers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, and especially with appraisers and Something else to focus on is, these apps like realtor.com and Zillow, they're selling like when you click down there at the bottom, contact an agent now for a showing. Like they are selling, that agent is paying for your information, and you don't know them and you don't know them. Mm-hmm. So wait, hang on, I said that backwards. They don't know, the realtor and the client don't know each other. And it's important that they do, because you don't know if you're getting, I'm trying to find a polite way how to put this, a shady, or maybe a realtor who doesn't have the best of morals or integrity.
Yeah.
And so if you're watching this and you're out there in the market, if you don't use me, or you don't use Ashley, and you don't use another realtor at the Lundquist office, and you're from Wabash, I would still encourage you to reach out to a realtor that you know and that you trust, because it's important. You're trusting this person with a big transaction.
Yeah.
And I've heard of horror stories, and trust me, you want to know the person you're working with and their morals and character, because it could go south very, very quickly, and you're going to end up in litigation.
Mm-hmm. Their character is definitely a huge one. Like, why are they helping you? I think that's the biggest.
Yeah. Are they just trying? I sincerely enjoy. So both my jobs, I work with people. Mm-hmm. Two very different kinds of people as a whole. Okay. And I love working with real estate because it's a positive interaction the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And I get to be authentic and helpful and answer questions and try and not persuade, but guide clients to the best house possible. Hey, you might not want to choose this house. Or, hey, if you choose this house, you should be aware the roof only is it in the disclosures. It says the roof is 15 years old. So with that being considered, you're probably going to have to start doing repairs on it almost immediately. And in the next 10 years, you're pretty much going to have to replace it, mm-hmm. which is a $10,000 to $25,000 expense. And so I get to be authentic. I get to help people, and I enjoy that. And I know there are some people out there who just do it for the dollar, and this is just a job for them. And it's just one of the reasons to know who you're working with. And
yeah, 100%.
So what's your favorite experience as a realtor? And then we'll just focus on the best or your favorite interaction as a realtor, or your transaction. I'll kind of let you take it where you want.
Well, that's hard, because I don't think I could name like my favorite, but one thing I love is some of my clients I'm still like. My first client that I sold a house to, I was friends with before, which is when you're new, that's where you get your clients is friends and
my
family.
brother was my first one.
I love that. So that's usually where your first ones come from. So I was already friends with this guy, and he bought this, fixer-upper house, and I was like, well, I hope I get to see what you do with it, because like I could see the potential in the house like I knew he could. And it's awesome. Like to this day, he sends me pictures, updates, what he's doing with the house. And it's really cool to see. And even my last one, or not my last one, but the first one that I closed this year at the beginning of the year, they redid the kitchen, and I got to go see it. And it's just cool. It's cool when you have that relationship with your clients where they want to show you, like, this is what I'm doing with the house. And I just love to see how people fix up and how they make their homes their own. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. Getting to see that. I agree. Watching one of your clients, a friend, my buddy who works just north of me, he bought a house in Warsaw, and it was his first house. Young kid, just got out of college, and it's nice. It's fun. It's just to see where you kind of get to watch. So, in my own personal opinion, I think that buying a house is a pivotal point in life where your life kind of changes, because when you're living in a rental, that money's just going out the door. It's gone. It's going into somebody else's pocket. And whether it's going directly into their pocket or whether it's going into their hands, and then part of that's going towards the interest that they're paying on that loan, or whether it's already paid off, that money's gone, and they're not getting any of the appreciation in that house.
Yep.
So this is one of the other reasons I tell people, hey, renting is not the option. Buy a house. And even if you buy a house 5% above what it's worth, so let's say you have a house for $100,000. Let's say somebody's got a budget of $100,000. That's what they want to stick at. They find that exact house they want. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with an attached garage, ranch style. And they want to pay $100,000, and the seller says, nope, we're only going to sell it for $105,000. And now we're in a stalemate. Neither party wants to move $5,000. And I thought I overpaid for my first house. Sincerely, I 110% did. However, when I sold it, I sold it for more than what I paid for it. And so on average, the market appreciates somewhere between 3 and 9%, probably closer to that 5% on average.
Yeah.
So 5% on average, if you bought a $100,000 house and you're off from $5,000 in 1 year, that property is going to, statistically, it's going to appreciate that $5,000. You've already, 1 year, you've already made that money back just by appreciation. I mean, it doesn't include the equity you're going to have in it by paying it down. Whereas if you rented for that 1 year, you know, at $1,000 a month, you're $12,000 negative.
Yeah. That
you're never getting back. And I understand the concept of, hey, you're making a mortgage payment. So if you made a mortgage payment for 12 months, you have interest, and the majority of the interest is paid up front. And so really you're not going to get $12,000 in equity. We, of course, know that. But let's say it does appreciate for 5%. Well, there's $5,000. And then let's say you get a quarter of those first yearly payments back in principal. What is that, $4,000? So right off the gate, you're in 1 year, you're positive $4,000 or $9,000 if you want to look at it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it really pays to buy a house, and
yeah, it does.
Even if, and a lot of times it comes down to pride and ego, and I said I'm not going to pay more than this. I'm not paying more than this, and I've watched it happen.
Yeah.
I've watched it happen, come down to a couple $1,000s, and it falls apart. And you're just sitting there and thinking back to yourself, you're like, man, if it appreciates 3% on this $150,000 or $200,000 property, like he's still gonna be positive next year. So, and I think sometimes buyers struggle to see that. And now, from a seller's perspective, I understand it more, because for them, they already have fixed costs. They have to pay us their a commission. They have closing statements. They have whatever they owe on the property. They may have other expenses they have to pay for. And so I understand that's the last time they're ever touching that house. So it makes more sense. And from my experience, it seems like sellers are willing to negotiate more than buyers are. Because buyers in some ways hold the power, right? They can go down the street, but at least as a whole, I know right now we're in a seller's market, but as a whole, it definitely hurts my soul when I see a deal fall apart over like a $2,000 or $3,000. I'm like, this would be completely solved if you just looked at the appreciation or what you're going to be paying in rent. So there are unique situations where renting does make sense.
Yeah.
Whether it's for a single parent and they don't have time, or they don't have the knowledge to do the home repairs, or they don't have the money and they just need to focus on life. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it depends on where you are in life too. Kind of like you said, like a single parent, or like, for example, like my grandma. She's older. She doesn't want to have to deal with the maintenance of her house anymore. And what she'd like to do is rent. The only problem is, with how high rent is anymore. It's hard because of price per month for rent is crazy. So I think I think it depends on where you are in life, but I think overall, if you're younger, especially, buying, if you can, is a better way to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. For the house buying crowd, so we're in my mind, I'm thinking 18 to 45.
Yeah.
No, I take it back. 18 to really like 50 is what I think is the ideal house buying time frame of life. But when you get older and you can't maintain a property, it makes sense. And we see that all the time, right? We see young couples come in and they buy a small house like I did. I got married. I had a kid, and then I sold my house and I bought a bigger house.
Yep.
And at some point in time, when me and Olivia get old and decrepit, we're gonna sell that house and we're gonna buy a ranch.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be probably a smaller 2-bedroom, maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with an attached garage, and that's probably where we'll finish our life out at.
Yep.
I hope not. I hope we don't end up in a nursing home, but we'll see. Well, it depends on how much Henry likes us, but yeah, I think there's unique situations where it makes sense to rent if you do not have the financial capability to maintain a property or the physical capability to maintain a property. And that or there is a short period of time that you're going to be in an area, like if you're sampling a job, you're not going to buy a house for a year or even maybe 2 years. It would make more sense to rent a property, live there, determine if you want to stay there long term, and then move out.
Yeah.
Or buy a house. So it's not foolproof, but I would say as a whole, it makes much more sense to buy a house if you can afford it and you have the ability to maintain the property.
And money wise, buying a house, that's investing. You're investing money into that house when you buy it. And so it's just if and when you can, that would be the way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we pivot to selling house, we've talked about buying house, buying, but when it comes to selling house, man, I actually probably, I'm going to bite my tongue here. I enjoy working with sellers.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit more stationary. It's more consistent. You develop more of a personal relationship. Like you're going inside of their personal home. With buyers, you're going inside somebody else's personal home and you're picking apart. Oh, I hate that paint. Why would they paint the door blue?
The paint.
So when you're going to a seller's home, like this is their pride and joy. They're telling you, yeah, this is where me and my husband spent the last 10, 15 years of our life, and now he's gone, and unfortunately, like it pains them to sell their house, like and so it's a little bit more intimate, and you are much more in tuned with your seller, and you want to get them as much money for that house as possible.
Yeah.
With the smoothest transaction and represent them the best as possible. And typically that's not just listing the house for an unreasonable amount. Like it takes effort. You have to go and you have to do a price comparison. I'm leading on Bob and John and their experience to confirm the price that I configured through my search of the MLS system. And we're taking everything into account from are the appliances staying? When were the windows redone? How old's the roof? When was this house built? Is there mold in the basement? Is there structural issues? These are all things that come into account, and that's just the top. And that's like the basis of everything. I mean, that's just the where you start when you're pricing a house. And so I really enjoy listing with sellers, and I would even go as far as that's my focus. I am actively focusing on working with sellers. Because you get to work with them more intimately. Intimate might not be the best word, but you're more in tune with them. You know what their needs and their wants are. You can work towards getting a dollar amount out of that house. Oftentimes you're working with them on repairs. You're staging the house. You're making sure that they have suitable housing with where they're going. if that's something they want your help with.
Yeah.
I worked with a buddy of mine. His name's David. I sold his house up in North Manchester, and Dave, our appraiser at Lundquist, he put me in touch with a awesome realtor. Her name's Ann, down in Franklin, Indiana. And I got to refer David down there to Ann, and Ann helped them buy a house down there. It actually made more sense for them to buy a house than it did to, I apologize. It made more sense for them to build a house than it did for them to buy a house, because there was so much competition in the market down there. And so by focusing on sellers with David, I got to help him sell his house. And then it's just more of a complete process. You're more in tune with your clients. And that's where my focus is for 2025, is to really focus on listings and sellers and trying to make sure I can help them from the start to the finish, pricing their house, negotiating the sale of their house, filling out contracts, staging, photography, advertisements, and really being an asset to Wabash County. That's my focus. Is I want to help sellers, and I want to focus on listings, and I want to be an asset and a resource for Wabash County. Mm-hmm. If I had a sales, my 30-second sales pitch, that's what it would be. It'd be, this is what I want to do. This is my focus. Sellers, listings, and being an asset for Wabash County.
Mm-hmm. I just closed my first listing yesterday. That was my first official listing. That was bad. Sorry, I apologize. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, my listing.
You just closed your first listing. Congratulations.
Yes.
That's exciting. What's the address?
Thank you. It's on 300 West.
It's on 300 West. Okay.
Yes. I've had so many different addresses that I've been
You're good. Down. You're on the spot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we closed that yesterday, and it was so exciting. It was kind of a long path. I don't remember exactly when we first listed it, but there was a period when like it was getting showings, and then it wasn't, and we were just like trying different things here and there, and you know, sometimes it just how it goes is you just go through spurts of it gets showings and spurts of where it doesn't. And I'm like, you know, it's sometimes, especially with, it was kind of a higher, like I feel like in this market, anything over like 250, you don't get as many buyers for.
Oh, for sure. It definitely classes out a lot of buyers.
Oh yeah. So that's where we were at. We were well over 250. So it was like, it was the spurts of people who were interested and had the money, and then there was nothing. And so for a while it was like, man, are we going to get this sold? And then the right buyer comes along, and it was a pretty, overall through the whole thing, it was a pretty smooth transaction, and which was nice. That's what I wanted for my sellers, was just nothing too crazy or bumpy, and just to get it, you know, they were already moved into their new house at this point, and they're ready to sell. And I think overall the timing of everything was really good between buying their new house and selling their old one. And it was just, I love being a part of that.
Mm-hmm. And did you get to help them buy their new house?
Yes.
That's exciting. So you got to see them all the way through from the beginning to the end. Did they buy their first? So it sounds like they bought their house and then they sold their old house.
Yes.
Okay. Was the purchase of the new house contingent upon the sale of their old house?
So this one was a little different, where they were living with their mom, who was the owner of the house, you know, just taking care of her. And so they just needed to downsize. And so that's what they were doing. So this new house he owns, and it's in his name, and they're still taking care of her. But they just sold, had her sell the other one. So it wasn't like we didn't have to do a contingency, which was nice.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. I mean, when you're making an offer, if you're if you're selling a home and you get two offers, one that's contingent upon the sale of another home that may or may not sell, or in a cash offer, or even just a financed offer that's not contingent, that's going to start today, not in 30 days or maybe 30 days, like, you're obviously going to choose the one that's not contingent. And so that's a huge deal. And I always encourage people to, if you can sell your house, not contingent, to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. I mean, we've talked about a lot. Do you have anything you want to recap on?
Um, if you're interested in buying or selling, we'll give one of us a call.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think I'll recap a little bit, and that is, if you're in Wabash County, the Lundquist team wants to help you, and it's our priority to facilitate a smooth transaction and to sell your house for as much as possible while doing that, and to also getting you the best price possible while purchasing your house. And I would always encourage all my buyers to use a local loan officer. It's a huge deal,
Yes.
and we have the best in Wabash County.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of any bad loan officers in Wabash County. I think they're all great. I enjoy working with all of them and have a great relationship with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're thinking about selling a property and you have questions, don't hesitate. Reach out, because there are little things you can do to increase the value of your house.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you go list your house, it's a long process. It's not walk in there, sign a contract, put your house on the market, and we have an offer in 2 days. It's not. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It
Not always.
it could, but as the rule, it takes time,
Yes.
from decluttering to maybe painting to putting downspouts, to getting your house. What you may have a home that it will only sell conventional, or you may have a home that will only sell conventional now, but with a few repairs, you could get government financing on it, which would open that home up to new properties. I apologize, which would open that home up to new buyers, which would create more demand, which would drive the price up. And that's what we're trying to do, is we want to help guide you to get the most for your property and to facilitate and negotiate the smoothest transaction possible.
Yes.
So if you're in Wabash, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to help you.
Yes.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, Ashley.
Sweet.